Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And right off the bat, brace for a longer video. Grab your snacks, popcorn, tea, coffee, whatever it is, grab it, because this is going to be a longer video. Also, a second disclaimer. I'm going to be very blunt, brutal, and honest in this video. So if you are not wanting to hear the factuals, the numbers, then you go ahead and turn this video off. Because I'm going to be very honest in this video. And if you are more of a T-Mobile fanboy, whatever they call it, you are probably not going to like this video, because I'm going to give my open and honest opinion of where T-Mobile is headed in the outer years of the merger being completed and the guidance through 2025 and 2026. So I will start off the video. We have here from the T-Mobile newsroom their 2023 Q4 numbers, and we also have a 2024 outlook for T-Mobile. I watched the entire earnings call. I sat through the Q&A, and I did not like what I heard. I did not like it. I don't like the future outlook. I'm going to say that right off the bat. And, we'll get into that in this video. So I will start off with some positives, because there were some positives. They had great growth in the quarter. I will not take that from them. They added 934,000 postpaid phone net customers, and they did 3.1 million for the year. That's great. They've always been a growing company. That hasn't changed. I've been watching T-Mobile's quarterly earnings faithfully since like 2011. I've watched every single one of them. So and so have I, the other carriers. But I kind of get the hint of where the earnings call is going, and the questions and the prepared remarks. So I kind of get a feel of where they're going, and I don't like it. So that was the growth on the postpaid side. Great. They also added 299,000 postpaid net account additions. Those are brand new customers that are coming to the network, brand new accounts. So that's good. They added 1.3 million in 2023, which is industry best. Also, high-speed internet FWA customers, they added 541,000 in the fourth quarter, which gave them 2.1 million for the entire year, which is, again, industry best. So that's all good. And then they also did a raise and beat a bit on the free cash flow for the year. They came in at 13.6 billion free cash flow. That's all good. So those are the positive takeaways. I wasn't expecting anything else, so that did not surprise me. Here's where the negatives come in, and it's very suspect. 1, churn. T-Mobile came in at 0.96% churn. Why? They had the worst churn in the industry. AT&T came in at 0.84%. Verizon came in at 0.88%. T-Mobile is the value leader and the supposed best network from all the third-party studies that they claim during the earnings calls and all these articles that they release. Why is their churn almost at 1%? What are we missing here? Is it network related? Are some finding better, cheaper costs elsewhere versus the value leader? Are they going to the MVNO side? All the other postpaid operators lost prepaid customers. T-Mobile added 53,000. So where are these customers going? Almost 1%. I'm expecting to see that from Verizon in Q1 and Q2 due to price increase. But why did T-Mobile see almost 1% in Q4? And I'll ask again, what did we miss? They didn't really clarify that during the earnings call. That was boring, by the way. During the Q&A, we got nothing that we didn't already know. Maybe very few things that we didn't know. And I'll add in another positive. They did grow a whole 1% market share in the small market rural areas. So they went from 16.5 to 17.5 percent. So that's good, on their way to 20% by 2025. So that's another positive that I wanted to add in that I forgot to mention at the beginning. Almost 1% though. That's a very, very high churn. Where's the uptick coming from? Is it competitive pressure? When you're supposed to be the value leader and have the best network, how can you cite competitive pressure? Like that wouldn't make, in my opinion, wouldn't make any sense. But anyway, they posted a 0.96% churn. That's a similar churn that they were having when the Uncarrier first started. So that's already, in my opinion, a big negative. And that leaves just too many possibilities out there, too many speculations as to why that churn is that high. It spiked in the third quarter. If you guys remember that quarter, they had higher churn, and now they have an even higher churn. And for those of you who watched my previous videos, I did state in those videos that T-Mobile would have a higher churn because Verizon is more competitive in the market with promos, and AT&T, but not 0.96%. I was not expecting that at all. And that's why I'm asking, why is the churn so high? Because that's way beyond what I was expecting, like way beyond what I was expecting by far. So that's the first thing that I want to cite as a huge negative. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know where they went wrong, but in my opinion, for someone that speaks value leader, best network, and wanting to have the best in class churn, that is way too high of a churn in my opinion. And there's nothing else that will change my mind on that. So that's the first negative, right? So let's move on here. We'll move on to the 2024 full year outlook. I'll find that here. Strong. There it is. Strong outlook for 2024. And I will go right to cash purchase of property. That's the CapEx. That CapEx is a bust. That is way too low. They're now guiding a CapEx of 8.6 to 9.4. What happened to 9 to 10? They only teased us at a conference that they would come in at the lower end of the 9 billion. Where did 8 billion come from? 8.6. That is way too low. In my opinion, by my estimation, their growth is outpacing their capital intensity by far. They are citing another 5 to 5.5 million postpaid customer growth in 2024. They came in at 119 million. That would put them at 124 million at the end of 2024. Their CapEx, in my opinion, as the size of company that they are now, they're growing bigger, is way too low. It's way too low. They're citing enterprise growth. They're citing during Q4, they got DoorDash, Meta, Salesforce. They deepened relationship with Delta. Maybe they got some more accounts there. Their CapEx is way too low for all of this growth. Way too low. During the peak years of CapEx spend on LTE, they spent 5.6 billion. You mean to tell me at the lowest end of their CapEx guidance as this bigger company, they're only spending 3 billion more? That's just, in my opinion, that's just way too low. You can see it how you want to see it. But me being a part of the industry for so long and following the earnings calls and looking at what happened and how it all transpired with T-Mobile, how they loaded up the network during LTE. At the very end of it, it became very congested. They just weren't able to spend more to offset all of that usage and growth. And it seems like they're really heading down that same path. Now, could that change in the future? It could very well change. But right now, the guidance is just way too low versus what's coming. They're getting ready to grow again. They have one more year, well, technically 2 more years of growth on the on the fixed wireless access side to hit their guidance total by the end of 2025 of 7 to 8 million. Then what happens beyond that? Are you going to build anything with that low of capex to grow beyond 7 to 8 million? I doubt it. I mean, I can't look at it that way. In any positive way, that's just too low of capex. Look at your competitors. Even as they're dropping capex and increasing their financials and free cash flow, Verizon is still at 17 billion at the low end. AT&T is going to be at 21 billion at the low end. I mean, they are outspending T-Mobile massively. So I don't like that. That I don't like. I was already questioning the 9 to 10 billion. I was hoping more for a 10 to 11 billion. But now to see 8 to 9 billion? I mean, what are we seeing next year? 7 to 8? That's just way too low. That is just way too low of a capex for this company that is growing at such an outstanding pace. It's just way too low. There's nothing you can tell me in the comments that's going to make me think otherwise. I'm sorry. It's just way too low of a capex. Also, so another negative, right? In the prepared remarks from Mike Sievert or Peter Osvaldik, we absolutely got zero talking points on C-band DoD. That lets me know that they are not going to deploy that at any meaningful scale anywhere inside of this calendar year. Zero. Not happening. We will see it go up on some sites, but it's not going to be deployed to any meaningful scale. So they didn't even discuss that at the call. And the fact that anything wasn't asked about C-band and DoD during the Q&A, that, in my opinion, that also sucks. The questions were horrible today from any analyst, from any company, JP Morgan, whoever was there, Wall Street Research, whatever. Those questions absolutely sucked. They were horrible. Horrible questions today. Horrible. Nobody asked about, what's the progression this year going to be on C-band and DoD? Nothing. They didn't ask anything of sorts. Nothing about, what's future guidance for the network. We didn't see anything in the prepared remarks about network. What about scale? What about the 10,000 sites? Nothing. They did not ask anything about the network. So that was a huge negative for me. So now us on the channel, me making the videos, you guys commenting, we're going to be speculating now all year. What about C-band DoD? They gave us absolutely zero guidance in the prepared remarks about that deployment. How much capital are they going to invest? Are they going to invest separate capital for millimeter wave? Nothing. You talked about recently at a conference, Mike Sievert, I think at the beginning of December, I would have asked, you talked about a more bigger investment, going bigger in fiber. What does that look like for 2024? This was the earnings call to ask this. They gave us the outlook and guidance for 2024. The questions absolutely sucked. They were horrible. That's what I would have asked. I would have asked two questions. I would have asked, what's the situation on C-band and DoD this year? You guys talked about it at the last earnings call that you would carve some capital out. What does that look like? Can we get any sense of scale? That would have been my first question. And my second question would have been around fiber. Mike Sievert, you recently talked about at a conference about scaling fiber more, going a bit bigger on that. It's still capital light, but what does that look like? Can you give us some info on that? Nothing. Nobody asked any of that. It was a horrible Q&A. So there's a lot more questions now than I have answers to. I don't know why the churn is as high as it was. 0.96%. In my opinion, for the value leader with the best network, quote unquote, that's a ridiculously high churn. And I have nothing that I can say that's going to give you a peace of mind as to why the churn was that high. I mean, the speculations and everything is going to run wild now. You can't cite competitive pressure because you're the value leader and the best network. How can you say that you're getting competitive pressure? I mean, I don't understand that one. right? I had to actually take some time to gather my thoughts to make this video because I just felt such a negative vibe from that earnings call and from the 2024 outlook that I just had to take a moment to really gather my thoughts to make you guys this longer video. I mean, I mentioned some positives, but I don't like I don't like the churn. I don't like the low ass capex. I don't like it. I just do not like it. It's just way too low. They need to realistically, if you look at the growth, and I'm not talking about just the growth for this year. I'm talking about the growth that they're going to have in 2025, 2026. They need to spend more. It takes a long time to get new sites built. It's not a quick process. It takes a long time to get small cells in the ground at bigger scale. Are they going to be able to do some stuff with the 8 to 9 billion? Of course. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. But we need acceleration. They are a big growing company here. They're talking about growing 5.5 million customers next year at the high end. That's a lot. That's a lot of new people on the network for this year. And then I would not be surprised if it's a similar number in 2025 and 2026. And you guys catch my drift. They need to invest more. I will hound them on that for the coming weeks and months. As we head through Q1, we go to Q1 earnings. I will hound them on that. They need to spend more. Verizon will absolutely crush them. I don't know if they don't see it yet, but I see it. I have a forward-looking opinion, and I see Verizon absolutely crushing them on the network build. They just spend way more. At the 8 billion, let's say they come in at the 8.4 billion. Let's just do some rough math, rough estimates. You know, Verizon spends in 1 year what T-Mobile spends over 2 years. You know, just think about that. Yes, I understand not all of Verizon's investment goes to wireless. Some of that goes to wireline, but it's going to be way less. It's going to be way less. The one fiber build is done. They don't scale Fios nearly anywhere to the size of what AT&T does with its fiber. So, you know, Verizon is spending majority of that capital into wireless, especially the success that they're getting from FWA home broadband. I would anticipate there is no number out there to follow or to look up, but I would say out of the 17.5, if they come in at the high end, I would say between 12 and 14 billion of that goes into wireless. The rest is for the wireline. That's what I'm speculating. And the wireline is helping Verizon too, right? They're still going to connect up some sites to their own fiber. That's still going to happen this year. Even though the one fiber build is ramping down, they're still going to have to connect up some sites. And you know, they're still gonna have to do some other stuff on the wireless side. They're still building small cells at an impressive pace, and they're building C-band to get to that 300 million pop count that T-Mobile is at today. So again, I'm not saying T-Mobile the house is gonna burn down. I'm not saying any of that. They're gonna remain successful. I mean, you can see it here. Their free cash flow for 2024 is guided between 16.3 to 16.9 billion. So that's a good, healthy free cash flow. They are saying that they're going to start guiding at some point EPS. So they are now definitely more financially and margin focused. So we're going to see that eventually. So that means they're not only going to be judged on growth anymore, they're also going to be judged really now on the financials. So we got to keep that in mind. And that's going to be good. That's going to be good for the company. But the three things that I mentioned, huge negatives. The churn is just too high, in my opinion. The capex is just too low. And the fact that they did not discuss any C-band and DoD is just a huge miss and negative, in my opinion. So Let me know all your thoughts in the comments. Again, this was a longer video, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Look forward to reading them. This is going to be crazy. This is a crazy of a day. Just those negatives, just too much for me. They need to spend more, in my opinion, and they need to fix the churn, and they need to deploy C-band and DoD or give us some type of info on it. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe. If you're new, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.